The Night Bell House, Part 1. I wasn't supposed to be in Windermere. It's not the kind of town you find on purpose, just a forgotten cluster of buildings nestled between rolling fields and sleeping forests, a place where even the road signs look unsure of their names. But after a missed exit and a GPS glitch, I ended up pulling off into town on the kind of dusky evening that seems to seep into your bones. I was supposed to be heading to my uncle's lake cabin, a 4-hour drive from the city, but the rain hit hard and fast. Thick, relentless sheets pounded my windshield, and when the wipers started struggling, I took the first turn I saw and prayed for shelter. Windermere was quiet. Eerily so. A single gas station sat beneath a buzzing sign with half its letters burned out. A closed diner. A post office with broken blinds. No cars. No people. No movement at all. Just the sound of the rain, and that weird weight in the air, the kind you feel just before something terrible happens. Then I saw it. A bed and breakfast sign, swinging gently above an old iron gate, the Night Bell House, established 1861. It looked ancient. Like it had grown out of the fog. 3 stories of fading red brick, with gabled windows and creeping ivy. Lights were on in the foyer, flickering slightly through rippling glass panes. I didn't think. I just parked. As soon as I stepped out, the sound of the rain vanished, not lessened. Vanished. As if something had swallowed it whole. My shoes clicked on stone as I approached the door, the world oddly muffled. The brass knocker was shaped like a serpent curled around a bell. I knocked. And the door opened before I touched it. A woman stood inside. Maybe late 40s, with dark eyes and a shawl that looked like it hadn't left her shoulders in decades. "Room?" she asked, flatly. Yes," I said. "Just for the night. Bad weather." She nodded once, slowly. Then stepped aside without another word. Inside, the air was warm and smelled faintly of lavender and dust. Candles burned in sconces. There was no front desk. No computer. Just a wooden table with a brass keyring holding dozens of ornate keys, each labeled in hand-carved script. She handed me one. It said, "Room 7. Top of the stairs," she said. "No noise after 11. No knocking. And don't answer the bell after midnight." I blinked. "I'm sorry." But she'd already turned away. The staircase creaked under my steps. Portraits lined the walls, eyes following. I swear one of the paintings shifted slightly as I passed. The hallway at the top was long, with crimson wallpaper and floorboards that groaned softly, like they remembered footsteps that had long since passed. Room 7 was at the end. The key turned with a satisfying click. Inside was a modest room, a 4-poster bed, a small vanity, and a window overlooking the trees. The rain still fell outside. But inside, that same unnatural quiet. I lay down, exhausted. Tried to sleep. At 12:03 a.m., I heard it. A bell. Soft. Far away. But it echoed through the wood of the floor, as if ringing from beneath the house. Ding, ding, ding. I froze. The woman's words echoed back, "Don't answer the bell after midnight." A part of me, the curious, reckless part, crept to the door and placed my ear to it. Silence. Then. Knock. 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 Right behind the door. I nearly yelped. My hand hovered over the knob. Whoever it was didn't knock again. They didn't speak. They just waited. I looked through the peephole. No one was there. But the hallway looked wrong. It was dimmer than it had been. The wallpaper seemed darker. Wetter. And where the far wall should have been, there was now only fog, dense and pulsing with shadow. Then I noticed the floor. It was wet. From under my door, a slow trickle of dark liquid crept inward. Thick, black, and reeking of rust. I backed away fast. A whisper slithered through the keyhole. "Let me in." My heart stopped. The voice wasn't human. It was layered, like 5 voices speaking at once, some too deep, others too high, like insects mimicking speech. I didn't sleep that night. The Night Bell House, Part 2. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the far corner of the room, knife in hand, an old pocket knife I'd left in my bag from a hiking trip. The whispering stopped after that first hour. The liquid beneath the door dried. But the silence that followed wasn't peace. It was waiting. Around 3 a.m., I must have dozed off. I woke at dawn, stiff and freezing. The sun poured through the window, soft and golden, like nothing had happened. I hesitated, then checked the door. No signs of liquid. No shadows. I opened it. The hallway was normal. The wallpaper wasn't soaked. The fog was gone. The portraits hung undisturbed. But there was something new. A bell, small and silver, resting gently on the floor just outside my door. A note beneath it read, "Answer once, and it hears you. Answer twice, and it finds you. Answer 3 times, and you're already his." I left it there. Downstairs, the woman was waiting. She stood at the base of the stairs like a statue. "You heard it," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," I replied. Her eyes studied me. "Did you answer?" "No." She stared a moment longer, then nodded. "Good. Breakfast is in the sunroom." The sunroom was beautiful, antique chairs, lace tablecloths, and glass walls overlooking a garden wild with overgrowth. But no other guests were there. Just me. I picked at toast and lukewarm coffee. Do a lot of people stay here?" I asked. The woman poured herself tea. "Used to. And now?" She looked out the window. "Now they stay too long." That didn't help. I tried to leave that morning. I really did. I packed my things, thanked her awkwardly, and walked to my car. It was gone. Not moved. Gone. The gravel lot where I parked was empty. No tire marks. No debris. Just mist. I turned to ask for help, but the house looked different. Taller. Twisted. Its windows had become narrow slits. The ivy seemed to move. The front door was wide open, like a gaping mouth waiting to swallow. I backed away. A shape appeared behind the glass, not the woman. Something else. Slender. Pale. Smiling too wide, with long fingers pressed to the inside of the glass. I ran. I ran into town, or what I thought was town. The streets turned in on themselves. Signs were blank. Buildings repeated like a looping dream. I passed the same shuttered diner 3 times. The same barking dog tied to nothing. Windmere was a trap. And I had already stepped into the noose. Eventually, I returned to the Night Bell House, not out of choice, but because it was the only place left. The woman was waiting again, as if she never moved. "This place," I panted, "what is it?" "Not a place," she said, "a threshold." She pointed toward the stairwell. You need to go back to your room. I shook my head. No, I'm done. I want answers. Now. She didn't get angry. She just said, if you want answers, don't sleep tonight. Watch the hallway. But don't leave your room. No matter what you see. No matter who calls you. And if he knocks again, never open. That night, I waited. At midnight, the bell rang again. Ding, ding, ding. Then, a knock. 3 sharp raps on the door. My heart raced. I didn't move. The knock came again, louder. More insistent. Then, a voice. Help me, it sobbed. It was my voice. I froze. Please, it begged, I'm still in here. He's still inside. I backed against the far wall. The door handle jiggled. Then, silence. It lasted for hours. When dawn came, there was no sign of anyone. No bell. No footprints. Only a note slipped beneath the door. It read. Answer once, and it hears you. Answer twice, and it finds you. Answer 3 times, and you're already his. It was written in my handwriting. The Night Bell House, Part 3. The One Who Knocks Back. I stared at the note. Not just the message, the handwriting. Slanted, looped R's, the way I cross my T's too low. It was unmistakably mine. And I hadn't written it. The window was fogged again. I approached slowly. Outside, the morning was gray, wet with dew. Except for one thing, just visible through the mist. A figure. Standing still at the tree line. Too far to see clearly. Too still to be alive. Then it waved. I yanked the curtain shut. That afternoon, I found her, the woman who ran the house, in the attic. She was sitting in a rocking chair, dust collecting around her boots, watching an old phonograph spin a silent record. You saw him, she said without looking up. I nodded. Did he speak? I told her, no. Just stood there. Watched. That's good. Once he speaks, you begin to forget things. And once you forget your way home, you're his. She stood up slowly and turned to me, her eyes heavy with dread. You're still outside the third answer. You have time. What is he? I asked. What does he want? She didn't reply. Instead, she crossed the room and pulled a trunk from the corner. Inside were dozens of small silver bells, identical to the one outside my door. All with tarnished edges and names etched faintly beneath. One bell read, Eliza Corman. Another, James Till. And another, Megan Riley. She pointed to the back of the lid. There were dates. All ended the same way. Checked in, date. Checked out. I felt a chill in my spine. Where are they? Here, she whispered. Still here. Every night. The hallway outside my room was different that evening. Longer. The wallpaper was damp again. The lights flickered like candle flames gasping for air. And then, at midnight, I saw something new. A door. One that wasn't there before. At the end of the hall. It was wooden, blackened with rot, and had no handle. Only a faint engraving where a knob might have been. A bell. As I stepped closer, the air grew colder. thicker. I could hear something faintly on the other side. Not words. Not quite. Just sound. Like whispers inside a throat that had forgotten how to form them. Suddenly, behind me, another bell. A real one this time. Loud. Sharp. Ding. 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 I turned and saw nothing. But when I turned back, the door was open. And he was there. Standing in the dark. Not stepping through. Just watching. Like before. Except this time, he spoke. Not aloud. Not with words. But I felt the words crawl inside me. The third answer is acceptance. My head throbbed. I stumbled backward. But the door, it didn't slam shut. It melted back into the wall. Like it had never been there. Back in my room, I sat on the floor, staring at the note. My handwriting. My message. Had I already answered? Had I lost count? A knock at the door. I froze. One knock. Then a pause. Two knocks. Longer pause. Then, three. I couldn't breathe. This time, no voice followed. No sobbing. No mimicry. Only a piece of paper slid under the door. It read. You left the door open. I jumped up and spun toward it. Still shut. Locked. Bolted. But when I turned back, the note was gone. And behind me, something exhaled. The breath behind me was not imagined. It shifted the air. Cold, damp, like lungs full of soil. I stood frozen, my back to the room, the note gone, the door locked, and the silence so loud I could hear my pulse cracking inside my ears. Then the sound of bare feet on wood. Slow. Dragging. Coming closer. I turned. Nothing. But the floor was wet, smeared with prints leading from the center of the room, to where I stood. Then the knock again. 1. 2. 3. From the inside. It came from within the walls. I backed up, tripping over the chair. My phone was dead. No signal. No Wi-Fi. No escape. And that's when the bell rang. Not mine, someone else's. Outside in the hallway. Ding. 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 I opened my door slowly. The hallway was dim. Stretched. Warped. Like I was underwater. In front of another door, room 5, the one next to mine, stood a boy. No more than 12. Wearing pajamas soaked from the knees down. He was ringing his own bell, his face pale, blank. I whispered, "Hey. Are you okay?" He didn't turn. Just rang it once more. Ding. And then the door opened behind him, and he walked in. I followed, slowly. The room was pitch dark. Empty. No boy. No furniture. No bed. Just a single, small item sitting in the middle of the room. A bell. Not silver. Black. I ran. Down the endless corridor, back to the attic stairs, to the rocking chair where the woman should have been. She was gone. But her record still spun, silent. I shouted her name. Nothing. Just the moaning of the wind rising now, howling through unseen cracks in the frame of the house. I descended again. The foyer was different. There were doors where windows should be. Stairs that curved up into nothing. A mirror that didn't reflect me. And at the bottom of the stairs, a figure. Not the woman. Not the boy. But him. Tall. Wearing a coat that seemed stitched from shadow. Skin like wet paper. No mouth. And in his hand, a bell. He raised it. And rang it. Ding. Instantly, the world around me fractured. Sounds overlapped, the boy crying, the woman screaming, the bells all ringing at once. And then, I was back in my room. On the floor. Covered in sweat. Morning light seeped through the curtains. My phone buzzed. Full bars. No missed calls. No new messages. No bell. But on the table, a photo. Old, cracked at the edges. A group shot, maybe from the 1950s. 4 people standing in front of this house. 3 of them I didn't recognize. But the 4th? It was me. I sat frozen, staring at the photograph. It couldn't be real. The man in the picture wore a wool coat, his hair slicked back in a style decades out of fashion. But the jawline, the scar on the left eyebrow, even the exact slope of the shoulders. It was me. I flipped the photo over. In faded ink was a handwritten note. Bell House. October 3, 1957. He rang the bell last. The floor creaked behind me. I turned, heart hammering, but the room was still empty. I wanted to leave. I needed to leave. My suitcase was already packed, but my car keys were gone. Vanished from the nightstand. I tore the room apart, nothing. No keys. No wallet. No ID. I sprinted to the front door and twisted the knob. Locked. Deadbolt stuck. I checked the back door. Same. I grabbed a chair, slammed it into the window. The glass didn't crack. Not even a scratch. Then, the bells. Ding. 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 Coming from every room. All the walls. All at once. The hallway was spinning now, doors shifting, rearranging. Room numbers reversed themselves in real time, 1 became 9, 4 turned into a crooked 7, and 6 vanished entirely. I ran toward the stairwell, desperate to reach the attic again. Maybe the woman could explain. Maybe she wasn't. A mirror stopped me cold. Not because of what I saw. But because it didn't show me. It showed the hallway. Empty, and a man standing in the distance. Walking toward me. But when I turned to look down the hall, no one. Yet in the mirror, he was getting closer. Each blink brought him nearer. His coat dark as rot, his bell limp in one pale hand. I couldn't look away. Until the reflection smiled. Not with a mouth. With eyes. And then the glass shattered, from the inside. A sliver struck my cheek. I touched it. Blood. But more alarming, the shard showed something different than the broken mirror. It showed the attic door, wide open. And behind it, light. Flickering. Orange-red. Like fire. I climbed the stairs 2 at a time. My lungs burned, and that smell returned, rust and pine, mingled with the scent of something long dead and still breathing. The attic door groaned open. The rocking chair was gone. In its place sat a table, with 4 bells arranged in a perfect row. 1 black. 3 silver. Behind the table, painted on the wall in tar or blood or something worse, was a crude message. One must stay to keep the others away. And under that, 4 names. All scratched out, except one. Mine. Before I could move, the black bell rang by itself. Ding. And something answered. Not from the attic. From beneath the floor. A scratching. No, digging. A hand pushed up through a seam in the wood, dragging its nails until they snapped. Then another. Then a face. The boy from room 5. But wrong. Eyes sunken, mouth torn wider than before. He crawled into the room without sound and sat at the table, picking up a silver bell. He looked at me. And smiled. It's your turn. I stood frozen in the attic, facing the boy who should not have existed. His skin looked like paper stretched over bone, almost translucent, with veins crawling under it like spiders. Yet, he smiled. It's your turn. He placed his silver bell on the table, its small clapper swaying gently, though no wind stirred. Turn for what? I asked, my voice barely mine. To ring it, he whispered, so it knows you're ready. Ready for what? To stay. I backed away from the table, but the attic door slammed shut behind me on its own. The wooden floor shifted, subtly, as if the whole house had inhaled. The silver bells began to hum. Not ring. Hum, like they knew I was about to disobey them. The boy stood, pointing to the black bell. It only rings once. But when it does, something else comes. What comes? I demanded. He smiled wider. The thing that built the house. I stared at the black bell. Its surface was dull, tarnished, like it had seen centuries. Around its base were scratches and patterns that resembled teeth marks. You rang once already, he said. It heard you. If you ring again, it will find you. I shook my head. I didn't ring anything. He frowned. Then it wasn't you. The walls groaned. The floor twitched beneath my feet. A low vibration ran through the beams, like something was crawling inside them, not rodents or pipes, but something with weight. The boy looked terrified. You have to finish it. Someone always finishes it. He pointed to a page on the wall behind the table. A page from an old guest book. I stepped closer, heart pounding. 4 names. 1 for each bell. All scratched out. Except mine. Only mine remained untouched. Name, Aaron Wills. Check-in, October 3rd. Ring count, 1. My fingers trembled. What happens when it rings 4 times? The boy sat back down and didn't answer. He just picked up the silver bell and waited. I turned toward the black one. The humming stopped. The room held its breath. I reached for it, and hesitated. Then I remembered the photo. Me, in 1957. What year is it? I asked. He blinked. That depends. On what? How many times the bell has rung. Suddenly, the window exploded inward, not from a rock or branch, but as if something had been pulled in. A gust of air slammed me against the wall, and outside, in the open air beyond the shattered frame, I saw the house again. But this time, I was watching myself through the window. Downstairs. Entering the front door. My exact movements. My suitcase. My breath. That's the first time, the boy whispered. And in the wind, I heard the bell again. Ding. I watched, frozen in horror, as my double stepped through the front door of the house, repeating the exact steps I had taken days ago. Same jacket. Same tired sigh. Even the way I rubbed my eyes. It was as if I were watching a recording. But it was live. Behind me, the boy whispered. That was the first. The wind had stopped. The bells had gone still. But I could feel something shift in the walls. A groan like hunger waiting to wake again. I turned to him. So if that's the first, how many are left? He didn't speak. Just lifted one finger. My stomach dropped. Suddenly, I understood. I had rung it again. Just now. Not with my hand, but by being here. By seeing it again. Each event was a toll. The house didn't need your permission to ring. It only needed your attention. Ding. Another bell tolled, this time from inside the walls. The attic floor split open. Not cracked, split, revealing a staircase spiraling downward. It didn't belong. It went deeper than the house's foundation should have allowed. The boy's silver bell began to ring softly by itself, trembling like a leaf in wind. He stood. That's where they go. The ones who rang it 4 times. Who? I asked. Everyone. The air grew cold. I heard voices echoing up from the new stairwell. Familiar ones. I heard my mother's voice. Then my childhood dog's bark. Laughter. Music I remembered from my first school dance. A birthday song. Memories. The house was mimicking everything it could find in me. The boy's eyes welled with tears. Don't follow it. I asked, why are you here? He looked toward the door. I rang it first. When I was 6. How old are you now? He shook his head. I've forgotten. And then he was gone. Like smoke in sunlight. Like he had only been there because I believed he was. I took one step toward the stairs. The boards beneath my feet groaned. A voice came from below, soft, seductive, familiar. Aaron. I miss you. It's safe now. Come down. My mother again. But I knew better. She'd been dead for 10 years. I turned and ran from the attic. The stairs shifted under me as I descended, twisting slightly, like the angles in this house had started lying. I reached the front door, breathless. But it wouldn't open. Not locked, gone. There was no door now. Just wallpaper. And behind it, something began to press outward from the other side. Slowly. Deliberately. A hand. Flesh melted into wood, veins pulsing through grain, fingers stretching through layers of paper like clay. I stumbled back. Ding. The third ring echoed through the walls. Then, the voice came from inside my own throat. Not in my head. Not as a thought. But through my own vocal cords. Aaron Wills. Welcome home. I fell to my knees, coughing, choking on my own breath, trying to scream. Then I saw it, scrawled onto the hardwood floor by the stairs. When the 4th bell rings, the house forgets the world ever had you. I crawled backward across the warped floor, trying to put distance between me and the hand pressing through the wall, but the wallpaper didn't tear. It stretched like skin. The hand pushed further through, fingers cracking at unnatural angles, then froze, hovering midair like it was waiting for permission to enter fully. I scrambled to my feet, heart hammering in my chest. Don't look. Don't listen. Don't believe. That line from the journal echoed in my head again. I squeezed my eyes shut. For a second, the house was still. Then came a fourth ring. Ding. I didn't hear it this time. I felt it, vibrating in my bones, in the air, in the house itself. The hallway stretched before me, impossibly long now. It shouldn't have been more than 6 feet, but now it twisted away into shadows and flickering lights, as if it had folded space to fit more corridor. The door at the end opened just a crack. Beyond it was a child's room. Toys sat still in the moonlight pouring through a foggy window. A small bed with frayed sheets. A stuffed animal slumped in the corner. And a boy. Not the boy from the attic. This one was different, older, maybe 12. Standing in the center of the room. Back to me. His head tilted. He said, calmly. I've been waiting. I didn't move. He turned slowly, and my breath caught. It was me. Not just similar. It was me. Same scar under the lip. Same mole above the eyebrow. But his eyes, they were ancient. Full of dust and years I hadn't lived yet. And he smiled. Do you remember what happened to the last version of us? I took a step backward. You're not real. He laughed, dry, hollow. That's what he said. Right before the walls closed in. The room flickered. Like a light going out and back on, only everything shifted slightly. The toys changed. Now they were twisted. Burned. Melted into the floorboards. The bed had straps. And the boy, me, was gone. A voice behind me whispered. He ran. I spun. There was a door that hadn't been there a second ago. Black wood. No handle. Only a carved symbol burned into it, a bell with 4 cracks. My reflection from the child's room stood beside it, grinning. They forget you. You understand now. When you ring it 4 times, you become part of the house. Your name fades. Your memories leak out through the walls. You stop being a guest. He stepped closer. And start being the sound between the walls. The thing that knocks. The breath behind the door. The eyes in the mirror. I whispered, that's what happened to you. He nodded. I tried to warn you. I wrote the journal. I left the bell. I locked every room I could. He leaned in, face inches from mine. But curiosity always wins. The bell on the floor shattered. The walls groaned. The door behind him opened. Inside was a void. Not black, not empty, but missing. Like staring into the concept of erasure. Everything I'd ever been wanted to flee. But something deeper pulled me forward. The house wanted to complete the set. The voice, no longer a whisper, but the sound of wind through bones, spoke once more. All doors lead back to the bell. I stood at the threshold of the door that wasn't a door, staring into a hole in the world. There was no floor, only that sucking, shifting void beyond. A pressure pulled gently, not like gravity, but like nostalgia. Like the way dreams ask you to